going to go ahead and move into our full bracket predictions as of today. We are giving ourselves another chance to get this right as we have been going through the past 15 weeks of the season, trying to get it right. But now we have the seeding in place. The teams are locked in. Now all we got to do is pick the matchups. And this will determine who our outright season winner is for game picks because we ended up tying in bowls or right before bowl season. So I'm going to go ahead and get into mine. I'm going to start with the first round. I have Oregon taking on JMU and winning that game to advance to play Texas Tech. I have OU beating Alabama to advance and play Indiana. I'm taking Ole Miss over Tulane to advance and play Georgia. I'm taking Miami to beat A&M in an upset in College Station and advance to play Ohio State, which I think would be an incredibly fun matchup to watch. Either way, whoever plays Ohio State in the second round, I think would be a really fun game. I will pick Ohio State to win that one and move on to the semifinals. I'm going to take Ole Miss to beat Georgia in an upset rematch. If Ole Miss is going to make the playoff and beat Tulane, I cannot be a diehard Ole Miss fan and pick Ole Miss to get second rounded against a team they've shown that they can beat. So I'm going to optimistically take Ole Miss over Georgia, but that's on a whim and a prayer, and praying we can actually make a run in the playoff with everything that's going on with the drama. Ole Miss would play Ohio State in the semifinals. Not my favorite matchup. I'm going to have Indiana beating Oklahoma to move on and play the winner of Oregon and Texas Tech. I'm taking Oregon there. So my semifinal matchups are Oregon with a rematch against Indiana and Ole Miss taking on Ohio State, which I don't know if they've ever played before. Would be really interesting to know that. I know they haven't played in the playoff era, so it'd be a really neat matchup there. I think Ohio State's far more superiorly talented than Ole Miss. They actually have a lot of old Ole Miss players. Tyler Malone on the defensive line used to be a two-sport athlete at Ole Miss, played baseball and football. He's starting and rotating on the defensive line for Ohio State. Davison Igbinosun is a corner for Ohio State. He is still starting, and he's been making a big impact there. They had Quinshon Judkins last season, big impact player on their national championship team. So they've been poaching some players from this team. I know that some of the guys on this coaching staff probably would have a lot to say about that, but I don't think it'll matter. And Ole Miss will lose that game. I've got Oregon and Ohio State in the national championship. They did not see each other this season after playing twice last year and splitting both those games. I'm going to take Ohio State to win in that matchup and be the repeat national champion. Obviously, there is something to note here. You do not see Alabama winning a game in my bracket right now. Even though I had them preseason being the national champion, I don't think this team has the character. I know we already predicted the game, but I'll say it again. I would rather be proven wrong and be half right and mostly wrong than pick Alabama and have them completely sell again and just prove me completely outright wrong. Oklahoma has shown me what they can do against Alabama. I'd be a fool not to pick them here. They clearly are the better football team right now.
So I'm going to go through these first round games pretty quickly since we already discussed those. I have Oregon beating James Madison, Oklahoma beating Alabama, Ole Miss beating Tulane, and Texas A&M beating Miami. So that would set up Oregon to play against Texas Tech. I have Oregon winning that one, and then Oklahoma would play Indiana. I have Indiana winning that one. Ole Miss playing Georgia. I have Georgia winning that one, and then Texas A&M playing Ohio State. I have Ohio State winning that one. So complete chalk there outside of Oregon, which would be they might even be favored in that game against Texas Tech. So I don't even know if you would be able to call that an upset. But Oregon would then face Indiana for the second time this year. I have Indiana winning that one again. And then Georgia taking on Ohio State. I actually have Georgia winning this game and then taking on Indiana in the national championship. And I have Georgia winning the national championship. I picked them in the preseason. They're here. They're a high seed. They've been hot as of late. So I'm going to stick with them to win it all.
Yeah, I think that's a good play there, Landon. I wish I could stick with my team, but as we all know, the team that Landon has winning the national championship absolutely skull drug my preseason pick for the national championship in the SEC championship last week. So I have no business taking Alabama to win another football game this season. I will not do it. But I like Ohio State and Georgia and Oregon. Indiana is probably the best four teams right now. Georgia has the competitive nature to win a national championship this year. I like the coaching staff for Georgia against Ohio State. I just don't like the talent. I think that the quarterback position is a massive lean Ohio State. I think that wide receiver is a massive lean Ohio State. Running back, probably you could lean Ohio State. Defensively, I think Ohio State's got a better defense, but there's also the scenario where Georgia just comes out firing on all cylinders like they have been lately. And Ohio State, after a loss, just isn't ready to play against Georgia. I know they would have beaten A&M or Miami in the previous week, but I think they're a solid notch above either of those teams. I think Georgia's a notch above Miami and A&M as well. So I think we get a pretty early matchup in the semifinals for what could probably be the two best teams in the entire playoff. So I think it's a good pick. I'm glad that you're sticking with your team since I'm bailing on Alabama.